on. He is the senior sports editor at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. And you know what? It's so fitting because we got some teams on that all dysfunction list, Flannel Sam. And I got to ask Rob because one team that he's covering now is on that list, and they just did something. They did something. We're going to have to ask Rod how big of a something on the day of the NBA draft. Shout out to the legend Detroit News Rod Beard. Just our guy. He's still Detroit to me, man. You still repping. Still here on the show. But Rod Beard.
He's got the taupe wall like he's back in the Detroit office again.
Yeah. What'd you say?
He's got the taupe background wall just like he did in the Detroit office.
He does.
Feels like
that
home.
is the KG wall.
That is the wall. Let's go. Let's go.
You know what I like?
What up, Del T?
Detroit News got rid of his ass and then got a brand new building.
Dang, that's how much he was making?
That's tight.
Hey, that building costs. It has pool tables in it, but it costs.
Pool tables? Snap. How do we get a pool table in here?
You buy one.
That's yeah.
So we're not getting a pool table in here.
That's okay though.
Right. Welcome to the show, brother. And listen, we've done a lot of these shows breaking down the NBA draft. The very first NBA draft show we had on this network, you were actually one of our special feature guests alongside one Rashad Phillips and Vince Ellis. It's awesome to see where all of you guys are at today in your respective careers and the fact that you guys took a chance on little old Woodward Sports and what we had going on back then. And now I'm grateful to be doing this, and we get to talk about a draft that really does not matter all that much at all to the Detroit Pistons.
We think today right now we can say that.
Right now we can say that because it is interesting. PR, they hit me up and they said, hey, you coming to our thing tonight? I'm like, what's going on tonight? Like, we picked tomorrow. So, yeah, we're just having the media over. So, I don't know. They're having a media watch party. I'm definitely going to tap in a little bit, and we're going to see what happens if Trajan wants to trade back into that first round because there are some players that are of interest, especially you talk about Danny Wolf, you talk about Maxime Reynard, who I know Randall Smalls talked about yesterday. So, there's some stuff out there for the Pistons. And the thing is this, I don't expect those pieces to play huge roles for the Pistons right now. So I've been trying to play this thing where I temper what the draft means for the Pistons in relation to what a lot of the questions from the press conference were centered around yesterday. And that's effectively, what are you going to do this offseason? But Rod, we're going to start this thing a little early. Take it over with Rod's thoughts, and then we got to break down this latest NBA trade and what it means for your squad and our squad here.
I'm thinking about this Tyrese Halliburton thing that you're compromised because of the calf strain. You're going into Game 7. You didn't play well in Game 5. You're okay in Game 6. The calculation to say you're going to risk injury in Game 7, you just have to play. You have to if you're an athlete and you're in that situation. But to lose an entire season of Tyrese Halliburton going for the championship, it is a tough thought to go through and say, would you, wouldn't you? Most people would say they would for a chance at immortality and going through and being an NBA champion at that point. But the risk is now you see the other side of it is you're out for a year. And now it just throws the East in a tailspin of, like, who is the favorite in Cleveland? Is your favorite in the East now? And then who? So it puts the Pistons in a place where you can go. We had been talking in the past couple of weeks about, do you go for it at this year? I'm leaning more toward maybe you do.
Yeah.
Not something super risky and not crazy, but there is more incentive to go for it now than there was a week ago.
Yeah, it seems like it continues to get there, and that was a lot of the questions that we were hearing yesterday.
I think it's less.
Oh, you think it's less? Because you had an interesting take last week.
Yeah, because a lot of the teams you thought were going to be great have disappeared. And when you look at that, that would elevate what the Pistons have now is one of the elite teams in the East now. So I don't think I would take a chance on ruining chemistry, on giving up too much to try to bring in a what I call a sniper. So I would tend to not risk it as much now, but that's just me. because I'm in this nice, comfy chair.
You're in the throne. That's why you can say such things.
Yes.
Goodness gracious. But you know what, Rob? When you talk about the East being wide open, we talked about those all dysfunction teams, and at some point in time, we're going to have to rank those squads, because there's a lot of them. And I believe Boston Celtics said, we you know what? The reports of our demise, greatly over-exaggerated. This is a world-class organization that's still doing world-class things. It's interesting to see this team get below that second apron and give themselves some flexibility to be able to still maintain something, even though Jason Tatum is going to be out. You look at Dame Lillard's out with the Bucks. We don't quite know what their process is moving forward. So there's still some dysfunction there. We don't know what Philly's going to do. We saw Orlando strike. And Trajan Langdon spoke to that. He says he really, really, really likes what they did, what Orlando did getting Bane. He says he's not going to make that deal if it hampers the Pistons, but if a deal like that materializes for the Pistons, he says he absolutely will. That includes getting rid of some of those draft picks to be able to bring in a player that you think can change the trajectory of your franchise. He also likened Bane to that level of players I would assume that's just beneath the stars. He didn't mention him as one of those big deals. He mentioned him when he talked about the deal as one that I do think you got to keep your eyes peeled, especially during the draft when a lot of teams have more flexibility. I am intrigued at what the Pistons might do, and it is comforting to know that he has his ears open to it. But another one of those squads, Rod, that we talked about, and we discussed when the Pistons were sitting at 10th or 9th in the East, are there any teams ahead that they could pass? And we identified they're going to pass Atlanta and they're going to pass Orlando. Orlando done things to try and shore that up. Atlanta right now, they decided to play in this game of being a benefactor of a squad trying to get beneath the second apron. And that's what Shams reported. Breaking, Boston, Atlanta, and Brooklyn are finalizing a 3-team trade that sends Kristaps Porzingis and the second-round pick to the Hawks, Terrence Mann and Atlanta's number 22 pick to the Nets, in Niang, and a second-rounder to the Celtics. What does this do for the Atlanta Hawks as it relates to that all-dysfunction team? Because I know that they're still trying to figure things out. I don't get the sense that they're ready to just kind of throw on the towel and restart. I don't get the sense that they're trying to restart how they're going to build around Trae Young. I get the sense that they're still trying to keep themselves as a playoff team and get better next season.
Yeah, and they've been the perennial play-in team. We talk about the Pistons being aiming for the play-in. Atlanta is trying to get out of the play-in and get into the playoffs. But they're trying to build something around Trae Young, and maybe this is the advantageous piece of that you get Porzingis, and you're betting on last year being more of what he is, that he can shoot 40% from three and be a big presence for you in a bigger role. And they need big men. They need somebody who can stretch the floor. Onyeka Okongwu is sort of developing into that, but not there yet. So assuming Porzingis can be healthy, assuming that he can carbon copy what he did last year, you get off of George Yang, who was one of their more consistent players, about 10 points a game, and Terrence Mann. It doesn't appreciably improve their roster, but it's something. And if you have to do something and you can get a second-round pick out of it, sure. You're giving up a first, and it didn't look like they were going to do anything with 13 and 22. There might have been some talk that they could package both of those and move up to 10, but 13, 10, is there really a big difference in that in this draft? Probably not. So, yeah, if you take a gamble on Porzingis and this comes up all sevens for you, then you feel good about it at the end of the day. But they had to do something, I think, and this is at least something that they're trying.
And to piggyback off of that, Rod, I look at the Atlanta Hawks. I look at a team that presumably is going to get Jalen Johnson back healthy. Zachary Richase showed some promise in his rookie season. Maybe he has a sophomore bump.
He was good, bro.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He was very, very good. Kristaps Porzingis, even though he missed a lot of games, I think he only played 42, and come playoff time, he was sick with something. When he played, he was borderline dominant at times, and we know Trae Young, even though I'm not a super big fan of his game, he's a really, really good player. Do you look at this Atlanta Hawks team with the move that they just made as a team that can actually make noise in this wide open East?
Depends on what the noise is. I mean, they're not going to shake up and be in the top 5 or top 6 in the East with the roster as constituted right now. Porzingis would have to really have a breakout year for that to happen, but they'll be in the range of being 7, 8, and being in the playoffs, or at least at the top end of that play-in situation, not just on the outside 9 or 10, hoping to just squeeze their way in. Either way, you're going to have a tough time in the first round of playoffs against the 1 or 2 seed anyway. So, what are we doing? If you're on that treadmill of mediocrity, that you're in that 7, 8, 9, 10 range, then really what's the point? And so that's the part that you have to get out of. And I think they need to do something else. And again, you hope that Jalen Johnson is going to be healthy, and that's going to significantly impact their roster too.
And I'll tell you what, Rod. Sorry, Terry. Just one more quick thing. I completely forgot about someone who might even be my favorite Hawk right now. Dyson Daniels has made a huge jump offensively and is a
quickly
demon
becoming one
as
of
a
those
perimeter
good players
defender.
that I hate because of how good he is.
So I'm not saying I'm not trying to hype up the Hawks like they're an actual contender in the East, but they're not. I think my prediction is they get out of the hamster wheel of the play-in and actually are maybe like a 5 or 6 seed. If obviously there's a lot of ifs with Porzingis' health and Jalen Johnson and whether or not Richase goes into a slump, but I think they're going to be more formidable than they've been in the recent past. Safe for
right, and that's all they need.
Yeah,
and that's all they need to try to keep Trae Young around and make sure that he stays and doesn't get frustrated by being on that treadmill.
Yeah, definitely. And, as you continue to look at the East with some of the shakeups that has happened, I definitely want to be able to just mention another trade that did happen because it was intriguing. It was interesting. As soon as we put up the graphic of Jordan Poole in a Detroit Pistons jersey, and should we do this, like it seemed like hours later there was a trade. The Pelicans are trading C.J. McCollum, Kelly Olynyk, former Detroit Piston great, Kelly Olynyk, and a future second-round pick to the Washington Wizards for Jordan Poole, Sadiq Bey, and the number 40 overall pick. So, shout out to Troy Weaver, man, being involved with a whole lot of Sadiq Bey trades. But it's interesting to see what some of these teams are doing. I still don't really expect much out of Washington out of this upcoming season. I still don't even really expect much out of the Pelicans. But as you talk about teams that in our conference, in our division, that will be directly with the Pistons, it can affect what they do going forward. This trade, it doesn't really do much for me, but there are some players of interest there that I thought that the Pistons could have taken a swing on. So it's intriguing to see multiple of these players in one deal that I now believe the Pistons are going to be firmly out on, Rod. Beyond that, the Kyrie Irving and the Mavs, they commit to each other on a big deal, a 3-year, $119 million extension. So they definitely believe in everything that they got going on there with AD still there, Cooper Flag on the way, and Kyrie Irving. But for me, obviously, it's always going to be about the Detroit Pistons and how all of this matters to them. That's why we're looking at a team this year who they did not care about that draft pick or losing it at all. They wanted to be able to prove that they were a playoff team, not even just a play-in team. Now they have to prove that they can maintain and that it wasn't, as Sean Belegian would say, what is it, cute little team. Pinch your cheeks type cute little team. They have to prove that they're there, and that's where I want to get into a little bit of what Trajan Langdon was saying too. But overall in the East, I wanted to be able to just kind of get your filter as we're getting into the draft. Just a brief little power ranking. You still see the Pistons right now as that 4th team, or where do you kind of see them as things have continued to settle so far in this offseason?
Somewhere in there, but I don't even want to go through it right now with free agency still there, the draft still there, because we know there's going to be so much change that happens. Like, can you assess the Bucks right now and say what they will or won't be?
Not at all.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, the Celtics probably aren't done. The only team that you can say they are what they are and they kind of will be that is the Cavs. There's so many questions around the Celtics, Knicks, Pacers, Bucks. And those are the teams ahead of the Pistons. And the Magic, if you want to even start talking about that, are they really done yet either? Maybe. So if you talk Cavs and Magic, those are the two teams that might be kind of solidified on what they will be when the season starts. Closer to that, everybody else seems like they could be in some type of flux and some type of change of what they're going to be. So we can go through it, we can talk about it, but again, let's play our game again. Yes, 5 teams that the Pistons will be better than when the season starts. Will they be better than the Wizards? Yes. Hornets? Yes. Sixers? Yes. Brooklyn? Yes. Raptors? Yes. There you go. They're a play-in team at best. Or at worst, they're a play-in team.
That was right. Hey, listen, I don't know. You might be upsetting WeezyD313 in the chat a little bit. I guess he's a little upset that I don't believe that the Wizards in this move is going to put them anywhere close to where the Pistons are. He says, and he just starts listing some of the players: McCollum, Middleton, Smart, with Sarr, blah, 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 Kispert, Carrington, Stay Woke Kool-Aid.
Is he trying to convince us that New Orleans is going to be good?
Washington.
Or Washington, sorry. Washington's going to be good?
I didn't even say that they're not going to be a team that can be a playing team. I said that they're just not going to be a team that you think is on par with the Detroit Pistons.
They're not. Like, let's confidently say that. That's not even. We don't even have to be reserved about that. They will not.
Yeah, they might reach 500.
They might.
Go ahead, Terry. I know you got
What
something.
500 3-pointers attempted? Like what? What is 500?
What up, T-Paul?
It's the lottery, man. No, my question now is irrelevant. So I guess I hit you from this standpoint. Trajan Langdon basically said the Pistons are not going to do anything crazy. They're not going to make a big splash, and it seems like you think that's the wrong move, or do you?
I'm leaning more. What I said earlier is I'm leaning more toward if something comes to your doorstep, you can consider it differently than you did last week. So if there's a Desmond Bane type of deal, then you would consider it. Last week I would have said no, don't worry about it. Play the long game, build this, and try to do it for the long term. But for the East, is Cleveland a team that is just invincible? And maybe what we thought the Celtics were at the beginning of last year. Is Cleveland that team right now? No. No? Or is Orlando?
You got throwing two things: soft and injury prone.
Yep.
Cavaliers are soft, bro. They're talented.
Yeah, and so if you look at Donovan Mitchell as their keystone piece, and yeah, there's they got the big man, but they're not a proven team that is going to be a buzzsaw that you just cannot get through. I don't think that they're at that level. And if the Pistons go and get any of the guys that we talked about, and I'll say, let's throw this out there, kicks and giggles. If they go get Zion, can they get with Cleveland?
No.
I didn't even want to say Zion.
Yes.
Because Terry, that is the one player I do not want them to go and get is Zion.
Right.
I think there's too much risk. But let's say they did. Are they and Zion is healthy? Same thing we said about Kristaps. If Zion is healthy and he's everything they think they could be, are the Pistons on par with Cleveland? You can convince me. I can have that conversation.
For 30 games.
Are 15 of those in the playoffs?
Going to last.
15 of those in the playoffs, right?
15
Right.
in the playoffs. I mean, maybe. You never know.
Can you redshirt him during the regular season and just play him in the playoffs?
Hey, it is going to be load management like a mug all season. Hey, first game, season opener.
Bro,
he plays in the season opener.
But
Doesn't
with
play again until
Zion,
December.
Here's where the load management is. In his ass. That's why I don't want to bring him here. There's some load management there.
It would, yeah. But again, that is the issue, and it's a similar thing with Porzingis, which is why you don't. It would have to be somebody who is like a Bobby Portis or a Naz Reid or people that we've talked about in recent weeks who can come in and give you something immediately and you don't have those health questions about. But you need a higher tier player than any of those guys too. Zion, if he's right, 20 plus points, 10-ish rebounds, he can play the 4 alongside Duren. There's no real conflict in the positions that they're playing. It's a good fit position wise, but for the money that you're paying Zion and the risk that you're taking, not for me.
Hey, this is actually a question from the chat. Ryan's reaction with the super chat. Thank you. And you alluded to it for a second, just a minute ago. Rod, we should focus on acquiring Miles Turner or Bobby Portis, right?
Miles Turner, no. No, he can never play on my team until he puts the Legos down. Never. No. Bobby Portis, yes. Bobby Portis. You can have Bobby Portis or Naz Reid. We cannot have Miles Turner. No.
Yeah.
Nope.
But you know what? It's interesting. Some of these names that we've been talking about, those are still some of the names that are available. And the Detroit Pistons are one of the teams that are primed to be able to take them. Think about this right now, you guys. How many teams out of all these deals that are going down? And we saw some squads take themselves out of the ability to do really much more to compete with what the Pistons have. The Pistons are just one of those teams sitting around like, okay, now it's our time. Who else now is ready to get underneath the second apron? Who else has a star or a disgruntled star or just about a star, someone who's looking to get paid in the next year that you're looking to move off of? And now I believe that Trajan Langdon has everything at his disposal. With what we see happening in the East, I think it just made things so much better for him and gave him that many more opportunities and options. So I want to get into the next segment, take a quick one real quick, get into the next one. We'll hear some from Trajan Langdon. Got a couple quotes that we're going to go through, a couple videos, and then we got some Swisher break. I also pulled a couple from the chat, too, that I'm going to send to you, JB Smooth. So
okay.
We got some because we got to get into some nitty-gritty type stuff, and I got to get, what's life without a Swisher break, right? But what friends we got to say what up, though? Who we saying hi to? How many? Is it another triple?
Just double. Vin Johnson and White Claw.
Vin Johnson, you guys already know if it's about justice that you seek, then it's Vin Johnson Law. And I can tell you this, at the time they've been a sponsor with us and being even able to meet some of their make some money. It's NBA draft day. It's Woodward Pistons Wednesday. It's so appropriate that it aligns this way. And we get to celebrate the fact that, you know what, T-Foss, I think tonight or tomorrow, I believe we might do the draft show tomorrow since the Pistons do pick in the second round. And tonight I'll go down and deal with the Pistons at their watch party for the draft tonight. So I don't think that you have to worry about us messing up the studio this year. I know in the past you talked about how crazy things got when we won the draft, the lottery, when we picked Kay Cunningham and all of that.
Oh, yeah, you have the naked women running through the studio and all that kind of stuff.
Where was that?
But I guess tonight there's no first round pick. What is there to watch?
That's why I said we're going to do that tomorrow. And it gives us opportunity as well because I'm reaching out to some special guests to see if we can get some special guests on for tomorrow's stream. So that'd be dope. But I know NHL draft, and we might have a special Woodward Wings stream after the draft show tomorrow. And then Friday, we got Woodward Wings are going to do their NHL draft show. So it's a pretty cool week of extra content for you guys. We're going to try and make sure that we bring you all the best coverage that we can. So thank you guys for supporting. Continue to hit that like button. We get the legend on, Rob Beard with the other legend, T-Foss, doing our Woodward Pistons segment. And Trajan Langdon gave his pre-draft press conference. I'm wondering if he's going to give one after the first round tonight if they don't do anything. Generally, they wait until a move is made. And so that might be tomorrow night when we get the Trajan Langdon post-draft press conference and get a little bit more insight into what their offseason plans are going to be. But let's get the legend, Rob Beard, back in here. And, JB, we'll start with those screenshots because those are the most telling things. That's what everybody wants to know about. And, guys, at pick number 37, he let us in a little bit to his strategy. And this was the picture from the press conference yesterday. Shout out to Trajan Langdon. Shout out to Pistons and Pistons PR. They always take care of their media well. And he said, no surprise here, best player available, period. Best player available.
I'll be honest, if I'm Trajan Langdon, I have nothing to say to y'all tonight.
Nothing at all?
I talked to you a couple days ago.
Yeah.
I haven't made a draft pick. I got nothing to say. So you talk to me tomorrow.
Look, I feel that. And shout out to intern Noah, who just walked in a little bit ago, and he went to the press conference with me. He's a good writer, and I can't wait to see what he writes from this. And I got a couple articles as well. It was a fun time there. But I told him about Rod and I basically decoding Troy Weaver, and I went into the press conference pre-draft. Was like, so, we're looking at things. We've been listening to everything you're saying, and we think there's a great possibility that you're going to trade up, man. How's it looking? There's some play. And he just looked around for a minute and was like, do y'all got my office bugged? And then what do you know? What do you happen? We called it. Marcus Sasser. He traded back into the first round and got Marcus Sasser. And so I did notice a Trajan Langdon who he walked in and said it right away. Hey, look, guys, I'm going to be boring. I'm not blowing the cover off of anything. And so a lot of the answers you could tell were vanilla, but you could tell that he has a shorthand on what he's going to accomplish here. And I do believe a lot of that has to do with running things back. Let's get that next one up because there's not going to be too many surprises at pick number 37 as it relates to what their strategy is. This one is the other aspect of it. For free agency, the Detroit Pistons will not, with a capital NOT, be super aggressive this offseason. And I wonder what that means in contrast to just being aggressive. Because he did leave this door open. He said if there's a deal that presents itself like the Desmond Bane deal, he will do that as long as it doesn't hamper the Detroit Pistons. Another tidbit he mentioned as it relates to free agency. They got their own free agents that they want to bring back. And they said that they want to, but he said this agents are tough and they have a job to do as well. He said that they did, let their intentions be known. But this was something that came across the waiver wire. And the Kings are considering one of the Detroit Pistons. They're considered the leading suitor for one of the Detroit Pistons free agents. Do you guys know who that is? Anybody know? One Mr. Dennis
That's what
Schroeder.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, and so they're expected to be really kind of aggressive. Like at the start of free agency, they're supposed to be one of those teams that's like, hey, we really, 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 really want you. And I absolutely hate hearing that. I do. I'm hoping that Trajan Langdon, for whatever plan he has, he can put things in motion. But I'm not lost on it. If Dennis Schroeder is somebody that is on the way out, Trajan Langdon has proved in his camp, to be able to find these types of deals, and it didn't cost him much at all. But Rod, just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Are we still in the same spot about let's rank Beasley and Schroeder? Are we still in the same spot on the ranking of those three and who you would rather have back?
As time is
Hardaway,
Beasley.
Schroeder, and Beasley.
As time has gone on, Beasley has been the one that's just crept right back up to the top of that list for me. Schroeder, he held that emotionally for his playoff performance for some time in his connection with Cade, and I want him on this squad. But I saw Keith Langlois' article too, Pistons.com writer, and he stated that Malik Beasley is a priority this offseason. I think it's Beasley for me, man.
For me, it's Schroeder. If I can only keep one of those dudes, it's Schroeder. Because A, he's a man. B, he's got balls. 3, he's not scared. He got no fear in him.
Because I want to say that Beasley's not. Because all regular season, we saw a guy that was exactly what you just described. But when the playoffs happened, we didn't get what we needed. It's got marginal.
And doesn't that happen every
Beasley.
year with him?
Yes.
Oh my gosh! But
Okay,
when you're talking
there's a
about
pattern.
the course of a season, can they replace that 3-point shooting at that price?
All right, I'll put
So
it this way.
here's
If I come in with a rash on my leg and I had it Monday,
What?
Tuesday, and Wednesday, it's going to be there Thursday. Beasley doesn't shoot well in the playoffs.
I know.
And this
That's what
happens
makes
every year.
But that's what had Schroeder at the top of my list
And he should
a week or
still
two
be
ago.
there.
I still want him
No,
back. I
for-
still want him back. But
so
for
for-
the sake of regular season,
All
I
right.
do believe Beasley
Baby
matters.
boy, pick one. Pick one. I'm not going to let you get, I could bring all three back. No, pick one.
Terry, I'm gonna let him off the hook.
Don't let him off the hook. Bury the hook.
No, but he's
further
still
down.
gonna have to choose.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
He's still gonna have to choose because you're probably gonna be able to keep 2 of those 3, but those 2 cannot be Schroeder and Beasley.
I don't think it's going
So it's Hardaway and one of the other 2 is my guess at
Okay.
this.
Rod just do a
So in effect, you are choosing between Schroeder and Beasley, and I think if you can keep Hardaway, then the answer is Schroeder. That's the right answer.
Let's not lead the jury. Let's see what he has to say.
I think it's.
I'm leading him to the right answer.
You
All right,
can't
listen.
go for an hour. Tell us.
No, because I'm sitting here thinking like, who's the guard? I can't think of a guard that we're going out and getting who I believe is going to have the same effect that Schroeder can. Can we replace what Beasley brings to the table? We can to a degree, I guess, but he was prolific in the regular season. Prolific. And I do believe that matters. Is this Pistons team still the same team? Mind you, Beasley was here for the entire regular season. Are they the same team regular season without him? I think Cade needs that floor spacing. I remember Bojan and Alec Burke days. I remember Jeremy Grant days. I do appreciate the elite because we cannot forget that in the regular season, he is absolutely one of the elites from beyond the arc at high volume.
Rod, we should do a show with Kool-Aid. You and me will be spitting, and he'll be going, ooh, I don't know. That's a good question.
Look, Beasley is at the top of it for me, brother.
He hasn't answered the question yet.
Beasley still. Beasley.
But here's the thing.
I like a lot of everything that Schroeder does, but Beasley he was elite in the regular season. We can't look past that.
All we can go on is what we saw throughout the regular season and the playoffs. Can you make it? You can get to the playoffs with what happened in the regular season. But if the goal is to advance and to do better than you did this year, you need that playoff ability. We saw that from Schroeder. We didn't quite see it as much from Beasley. And right. Yes, you cannot substitute that three-point shooting throughout the length of the season. But the defense, and again, you're talking about in the playoffs, you're probably defending the Cavs guards. You're probably defending the Knicks guards, and specifically Brunson. Who's the better defender at the end of the day? You're not going to go and find a lockdown defender out in free agency, and you would have to trade for a Desmond Bane and give up a lot in order to get that. Three-point shooting, anybody can get on sort of a hot streak, and you can figure that out. But I think it's harder to find that defender than it is the good three-point shooter, and you can get some of that. The defense is there or it's not. The three-point shooting guys can just get on a heater and get to that point. They're not going to get on a heater defensively.
I believe I'm scarred from them trying to find that outside shooting for so long and failing so miserably to build that around Cade that they finally got that guy. And so it's not something I'm like, you know what, I'm just easy to let go of. It was interesting, though, to hear that as the Kings are looking at Dennis Schroeder, there's another player whose name entered the rumor mill, and that is a Malik Monk. If you can get your hands on a player like a Malik Monk, who is locked in on his contract right now at $19 million, I would do that one. That would be enough for me to say, you know what, you got to go out and make sure you retain Schroeder on that probably taxpayer exception. That's like $14.1 million. I think that they're looking at like maybe $16 million a year from the Kings to Schroeder. But maybe if you could offer your taxpayers exception, you can also do something that brings in a Malik Monk. But who knows? I don't know if necessarily the Kings are like, oh, crap, you got Malik Monk and you're trying to re-sign Schroeder. Who knows how that works out for them? But if you can go out there and get some floor spacers, not just the heater guy. I mean, like, we know Cade has that reliable floor spacing. It does make, in my opinion, obviously, Schroeder that guy. But with how prolific I saw Beasley be last year, that's something that is very difficult to just turn my head past. Like, yeah, that was okay.
Here's the thing that scares me. It wasn't like the Knicks said, let's do something wacky defensively to stop Beasley. They just let him play his regular game, and he was bricking shots. That's what scares me.
Man, you're right. Schroeder was so
and is the Beasley season an anomaly? That's my question, because three-point shooting comes and goes. You can shoot 45% one year and come back the next year and shoot 39, and that's a steep drop, but 39 isn't bad from three.
No, brother.
The playoffs are still in people's minds.
It comes in January for this dude. It goes in March and April for this dude. That's my problem.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the point. That defense doesn't lead. If you're a good defender, you're a good defender. And so you can throw aside the Asar stuff and guarding Brunson and the one play is going to be a highlight forever. But is Asar still a good defender? Yeah, no matter what. But three-point shooting from one year to the next can just be so finicky. That's the part that I wouldn't say that is who Malik Beasley is and is going to be for the rest of his career. He's been a good three-point shooter. This might be the outlier of years that he was just a great three-point shooter for the Pistons.
Man, if I'm thinking 3-year contract for one of these guys, you believe that Schroeder can probably keep this up for the next 3 years versus what maybe Beasley can do as an elite shooter in this league? I don't believe he's going to regress. But there is still a whole lot to like about Dennis Schroeder, which makes this tough. That's what I said a couple weeks ago. This was a question I answered Dennis Schroeder. A couple weeks later, it's an answer where I'm looking at Beasley as deals are being made. I'm looking at, can they find themselves avoiding the death trap that they were in before they got Beasley? And that was effectively no gravity, no space for Cade Cunningham, And when he's throwing it out there are no shooters out there for him. But Dante151 $4.99 super chat, he agrees with you, Rod Beard. He says, I would rather have Schroeder instead of Beasley. With what Schroeder could do with helping Ivy improve as a point guard is ahead of what Beasley can do. And I'm seeing a lot of sentiment in the chat where, you know what have you done for me lately? What's the last thing on people's minds? Those playoffs do ring true. And you got to think about it. If the Pistons are a surefire playoff team, I think that's where people's minds are going to instantly go. That's what makes it so tough for me. The playoffs did a lot for Schroeder in my mind, and it did take Beasley down just a few pegs. But I don't know. I have nightmares, man. I wake up in cold sweats thinking about Cade Cunningham driving the lane, passing it out to the corner, and Stewart shooting 7 threes in the first quarter.
You know what, Rodney?
Those days was
We
tough.
failed as communicators. It took him 25 minutes to answer our question.
But here's the last thing. Cade protector or Cade helper? Schroeder is a Cade protector because he takes some of the pressure off Cade, it lets him rest, and it gives you another ball handler. Cade helper is what you're just trying to do in general with the roster. Yeah. And Beasley is a Cade helper. You can go get another three-point shooter. May not be as good, probably won't be as good as Beasley is. But Schroeder, for the next couple of years, would help Cade. It takes him off the ball, gives him some rest, and you can play Schroeder at the point and not have to worry about that. And then you don't have to put Jaden Ivey in that position where he's constantly ball handling and go through that experiment all over again. I don't want to see that. I want to see him playing off the ball.
Because Cade Ivey Schroeder lineups actually would be crazy to me. That actually would be pretty dope. But I want to save a little time. Let's get to a couple of the videos. We can play them back to back from Trajan Langdon.
Okay.
And then I got a couple Swish or Brick questions if you have the time, Rod.
Yep.
Let's rock.
AT's been working his butt off too. He's been here. He's been back home. He's been in the gym. The thing that he wants to do at some point is be Defensive Player of the Year. So working on his strength that he didn't get to do last year, getting in better shape, working on his different abilities to get shots, to create shots, putting him in pick and roll. But I think AT has got an ability in different places on the floor to be able to just create a shot. So that's what we're really trying to work with him on, this handling, the shot creation, and then just getting stronger. Is one thing that he couldn't do all last summer because of the restrictions. So having him in the weight room, movement efficiency, so when he is getting in those situations, he can be a little bit more on balance in terms of getting a shot or finishing at the rim. But he's excited. We're excited for him to have an entire summer to develop, not only on the floor but also in the weight room. Yeah, I thought the playoffs were a lot of fun. I think us being in the first round gave our guys incredible experience and a great feel for what it actually entails to compete at that level and against a really good Knicks team that we got a chance to play 6 games against. And then watching the finals and the lead up to the finals, I thought it was some spectacular basketball on both sides. I think it shows that you need depth is important in this style of play. The game's getting faster, it's getting bigger. There's so many players on the court that have skill. So those are the things that were apparent, but the whole league is seeing that. And I think we have some players that fit that on our roster right now. And I think they showed that in the first round of the series against the Knicks. So continuing to improve and develop our young players, I think, is going to be paramount for us going forward, and continuing to add pieces around that fit and can enhance their development.
Trajan Langdon just wrapped up his press conference, and these are some of the tidbits if you don't want to have to go back and rewatch the whole thing. Pick number 37, best player available. The outlook as it relates to free agency for this team. He says he sees what Orlando did, like with the Bain trade, and if something like that materializes for the Pistons, in which they don't have to go and hamper themselves or pay too much, he says they absolutely will be in the middle of it. Just makes sense, right? He also gave some updates as it relates to Jaden Ivey and Isaiah Stewart. He did say that Isaiah Stewart is going to be ready for camp, and he's looking forward to seeing what Jaden Ivey can be. Largely, I get a belief that Trajan Langdon does believe in this team, in this core. And as it relates to their own impending free agents, said the attempt is to bring them back. They contributed to great success, historic success, from 14 wins to 44. They're the first team to go from 14 to the playoffs as well. So Trajan Langdon likes what he saw, believes in the internal growth, and thinks that the young guys here still have another level to go. It's going to be interesting to see. But let me know, who's your pick at number 37 for the Detroit Pistons, and do you want to see them trade up? If so, for who? Again, Brandon Dent, Detroit Kool-Aid, Woodward Sports, live from the Henry Ford Pistons Performance Center.
Trust your next vehicle purchase to Les Stanford, 50-plus years of success.
Hey, and we're back. Just want to be able to give you guys a little bit of what Trajan Langdon was talking about. There's some things there. I think the aspect of Asar Thompson in playoffs, I am really looking forward to what he's going to be next year. And when I heard him talk about them developing and working on the shot creation, that gets me ecstatic about who Asar Thompson could be as a player. Because I'm going to continue to say it. I believe he's a guy that is stepping towards stardom, Rob.
Yeah, he could be that. And you hang your hat defensively and you work your way into being an offensive piece that can contribute. So I think the future is still bright there, but there's still time for him. You don't need him to be that immediately.
And the first two questions, effectively, Trajan Langdon answered one of them. They're looking to definitely maintain, and where they can, they're going to definitely punch to try and get ahead. And the first question I had, we already talked about, and that's Malik Beasley should be a Pistons free agent priority. So I'm going to start with number 3 here, because this is as it relates to free agency. The Pistons, are you ready? Let's throw up that graphic, Mr. JB Smooth. Give the people what they want. Swish or break? Swish or break? You guys already know
break.
It. We make a statement. You guys have to say if it's a swish or a break, and if we have time, we've got a few that we pulled from the chat as well. But the Pistons, they need to go all in for one of these players. Which one is the swish? Zion Williamson, Domantas Sabonis, or Lauri Markkanen? That's why I led with Zion.
If I have to choose one,
which one's the swish for you?
Lauri Markkanen. Just his ability to shoot, I think, sets him apart from the other two. Been largely available, been stuck in some bad situations. I think that makes him a little underrated in NBA circles. Give me Lauri Markkanen if I had to choose between those three.
What up, though, JB Smooth?
Well, I know for Rip, I'm not going with Zion, so give me Lauri Markkanen once again. I'm going to side with Flannel on this one. I just think he needs to be put in a better situation. I think Detroit would be that perfect situation.
T-Foss?
I'm a Sabonis guy.
Sabonis?
Yeah.
I like the grit,
I think he's a little bit tougher, got a little bit more of
Yeah.
that nastiness to him. So I'm going to go Sabonis. I think Markkanen might come here and be a little bit of a worm boy. And Kool-Aid, I want you to notice something that we did. It didn't take us 25, 30 minutes to answer the question. We got right to it. It wasn't
I'm trying to be like you seasoned professionals, man.
Okay.
Shout out to Cavassier Chase in the sound booth. What up, though, brother?
Yeah, Domantas Sabonis is the name I like the most from the list. We've talked about him before.
Yeah. So Sabonis, if I'm going to answer, it's actually Sabonis for me, too. I like Lauri Markkanen a lot, and I keep thinking about the fit between him and Cade, but I think about just the triple-double effect. You know, just the threat that he could be alongside of Cade Cunningham, a guy who you know can handle a large usage responsibility from a different position on the floor. I actually like that a lot. And you're right, T-Foss, the grit, the grind, I love it. I see Varys, he says Sabonis is the best of the group. I've seen some Lauri love as well. Ryan's reaction says probably Lauri, to be honest. But T-Foss, Rob Beard, what say you?
I'm looking at Sabonis' numbers. 43 mil next year, 46, and then 49. Those are some numbers, man. I like Sabonis. I think he. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Markkanen's about the same anyway, and he's another year. He's 53 and a half in 28-29. Yeah, give me Sabonis. Give me Sabonis in that. The numbers suggest it, but the salary just puts it over the top for me.
Ah, man, that was a good pull by you, Rod. That was a good one. And hey, as we go on to the next question here, let me see. Oh, one of it's another free agency thing. One of either Naz Reid, Julius Randle, or Bobby Portis needs to be a Detroit Piston. Which one is the swish?
God darn it.
Yeah, it's a
I'll
tough one.
I'll go Bobby Portis because I like his ability to shoot the three more than the other two, and I think he's going to be the cheapest. Although I kind of like all of those guys, but give me Bobby Portis of the three.
I like all of them. Everybody is telling me, because I asked some people, what do you think about Julius Randle? And they definitely don't want another guy who can be associated with underperforming in the playoffs. But
he was good, though, in the first couple rounds. He really stepped up, but he had some moments. But, yeah, he's
like
definitely
the history
associated
that follows
with it. Yeah.
is like, eesh. But I'm
Bad in the
actually not
conference
as
finals, too.
I'm not as turned away from Julius Randle. But JB Smooth, what about you, brother? What's the switch for you? Who needs to be on this team by next year?
You said Nas Reed.
Nas Reed, Julius Randle, or Bobby Portis?
I think I'm out on Julius Randle. Bobby Portis would be the cheapest, but I think I'm going to lean towards Nas Reed on this one.
Ooh, talk to me about that one. Hold on, I want to know a little bit more.
I just lean. Look,
The higher ceiling?
Higher ceiling, even though Bobby Portis is probably cheaper, you want to save a little bit of money here, especially if you're trying to go after Lauri Markkanen as well. But still, I just like the ceiling that Nas Reed has versus a Bobby Portis and a Julius Randle. Like flashy, but I'm not in on it.
What about you, T. Foss?
I'm not in love with Bobby Portis.
Wow.
I'm not. Seriously.
I know a lot of people here, they want punch you in the face, Bobby
Y'all
Portis.
love
But is he going to do that? Is the question.
But I would pick him reluctantly. Not in love. I think there's a clown factor with him. So I don't want to deal with it. But I will over those other guys.
What up, though, Cavassier?
I'd rather have Nas Reed.
Nas Reed?
Yeah.
I've been going back and forth with this, and because I like Bobby Portis. I've seen this guy, no matter if his teams are good, still terrorize the Pistons. But I keep remembering I have to take my head out of the scope of our little petri dish. And when I do that, Nas Reed is a ceiling raiser for the Pistons. But, man, what say ye, Rod Beard? I'm seeing a lot of Nas Reed love in the chat.
Portis. I started with Bobby Portis when we started these discussions. I'm sticking with Bobby Portis. I think he's the most attainable of the three. And I don't. There's so many question marks about Julius Randle and the fit, and that he's been bounced around a couple of years. That says something too. Yeah, I think it's Portis.
Yeah, definitely. You know what? Let's get to the next one. I'm seeing. Let me see here. The ski mask, Bobby the Portis. Come on, man. Daytwa says Reed and Portis. There's some Portis love that's entering the chat right now. So
we do see some Julius Randle, though. And just to, like, fact check a little bit before we move on.
Yeah.
Julius Randle actually did have the best playoffs of his career by far. However, Game 2 and Game 4 of the conference finals was a combined 3 of 18 with 11 total points when the Timberwolves absolutely had to have it. That's doing down your leg at the highest degree. So definitely didn't
doing down your leg.
He still has some allegations, that's for sure.
And JB, I just threw a couple of the fan ones in there, man.
All right,
but while we do that, this has some implications of something we were talking about a little bit earlier. And it's just this right now, as currently constructed, and we know that the Pistons and all these other teams can do some things to change this. The Orlando Magic and the Atlanta Hawks, as currently constructed, are better than the Detroit Pistons. Go to you, Flannel Sam. After the corresponding moves.
Brick, but I think the Magic are better right now, not the Hawks. I really like Desmond Bane on this team if the core of Suggs, Wagner, and Boncaro can stay healthy.
Oh, they're going to be tough defensively.
Yeah.
Golly, they're going to be tough defensively. JB Smooth, what say you?
What was it one more time? Sorry,
Orlando
man.
Magic, Atlanta Hawks, currently, after their moves, currently they're better than Detroit Pistons as constructed.
Give me a brick on this one, but I'm intrigued with the Magics.
Wow.
I will say that.
T. Foss, the Magic got people shook. What say you?
The Magic is slightly better, and Atlanta might be better on a random Tuesday night in Atlanta. Other than that, no.
Tuesday night in Atlanta.
Come on, see, yeah.
In Atlanta.
In Atlanta. Right.
In Atlanta.
Right.
Come on, see, what up, though?
Switch to the Magic, brick to the Hawks.
Yeah, but I'm seeing the chat. They're feeling the same ways. Mitten May, Magic, yes. Hawks, no. Cube 22100, yes to Orlando, not to Atlanta. This is interesting. Weezy 3-3. Hawks better than Orlando.
Well, he's higher on Trae Young than most of us are.
Yeah, he's another one of those good player, but he's still trash.
He's also very, very inefficient for my liking, but he's a good player. He's not trash.
Rod,
Hey, Rod, now that you're closer to the situation, what's up with Trae Young's hair?
I see.
I got nothing. I can't defend.
Hold on, dog.
I can't defend it. I can't defend that.
I was like, I saw his wheel spinning, and it was just like, do.
It's not as bad as Tom Thibodeau's hair.
What hair?
I actually
Wait a
think
minute.
it's as bad as Thibodeau's hair, but they're both not good. But
Well, Rob, what say you? Obviously, this one has implications to you as now you're covering Atlanta Hawks as well.
Hawks still not there. They have to prove it on the court, not on a Tuesday in Atlanta. They've got to do it everywhere else. So, yeah, I think the Magic are appreciably better and more in that contender range. Hawks are still going to have to do some more.
Hey, dope. And you know what, JB Smooth? Pick one from the fans, from the chat family. Pick a good one and read it off to us, and we'll definitely get that Swisher break thrown around before we release Rod Beard from this hostage situation.
All right, I got one. Seeing that it is draft night, shout out to Gromit 0237. Draft picks don't mean nothing. Trade them all. Swisher brick.
You know what? Because the Pistons not have the opportunity.
Wait a minute. Is that me in the chat there?
That's your burner.
Right.
You're Gromit. So here you guys go. Put a face to the name. Shout out to T-False Gromit. But the Pistons finally have their war chest. And by that, we mean their draft picks. They can trade 4 draft picks, man. It's a part of a deal. And they have a whole bunch of second-round picks. A whole bunch of them. It's like 13 over the next, I don't know, however many years. Like 5, 6, 7 years. Detroit Pistons, they can do some things in the draft. Are you looking forward to them trading all these things away to effectively go and play in free agency? Because we talked about who you all in on. Are you giving those up for Laurie? Are you giving those up for one of these players out here?
I'll tell you what, me and Gromit don't agree on much, but for this one, I'll go Swish philosophically.
Is taking over the chat.
Because you weren't very specific, but philosophically, I'm not married to the draft picks right now with where the Pistons are at on the their exit on the highway, so to speak.
JB Smooth.
Man, fuck them picks. Trade everything you can. Get me a superstar here to help Cade out as well.
T-Foss.
With all these second-round picks, the Pistons are going to be a dominant team in the G League.
Oh.
That's the way I look at it.
You punting them? You F them picks, man? What up, though?
What's the question?
Let me go back to the it was effectively F them picks, man. Trade all of the picks that you can to go out there and get you a star. They can trade all their picks now that their first-round pick this year has finally conveyed.
Depends on who the star is.
Just go out there and get it.
You know, if you keep all those second-round picks, sign me up for season tickets with the Motor City Cruise. I'm gonna be there every night.
I just see Cavassier right now, and I hear him, and I hear him saying, "Hey, you know what? Get me a star." But I also hear attached with that, and you can also have Tobias. You can also have Tobias too. So
yeah, I mean, I definitely would like them to add somebody, but I don't think just making like a move like all last offseason people were clamoring for Zach LaVine, and I did not think that was the right move for this team. And I still think like somebody of that ilk would have. I'm not a fan of Zach LaVine's, but I mean a young player like someone who can play the front court more likely. That's probably what I'd like to target and focus on. Like I don't think Jaren Jackson Jr. is necessarily attainable, but if Sabonis is out there, I think he probably isn't going to cost as much.
Picks plus Tobias. Gone.
Man, do we have one? We'll save those other two, man. We'll save those other two.
I think we gave Rod a headache.
Shout out to Rod. Giving us his time all the time. Man, I'm just looking at the chat, and Rod, it's been overrun with F them picks. It just isn't. Shout out to Wayne County Cato. I'm glad y'all not the guys making the decisions, I swear. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Wayne County Cato. I would rather have Trajan Langdon making the picks too.
Well, he also said
agree
earlier that Jalen Duren's going to be Hakeem Olajuwon or David Robinson, and he says that Jalen Duren is still 19.
Well,
no disrespect.
Wayne County Cato, you want me to be GM? I don't want you to be a scout. Fair is fair. Rod, any last words?
Works both ways. No, I'm sure you guys. I'm sure you guys talked about this, the ESPN trade that was floated for Giannis with Tobias, Ivy, and Stewart and 3 first-round picks. And yes, Sign me up for whatever Giannis trade you can put together. Giannis and Cade in a pick and roll. Like, what do you do with that? I don't even legitimately know what you do with a Giannis Cade pick and roll. But yeah, something like that. And Trajan Langdon can say they're not going super aggressive at all. But if you get any kind of Giannis trade that comes across your desk, if it's not Cade, then you do it. You absolutely do it. That is what puts you in that conversation right there with Cleveland and right there with OKC at that point.
You do it. You wonder how much would the Bucks do this in division, but with all those draft picks, with what you know the Pistons can't afford you, sometimes you just pull the trigger and know it'll get better down the road. You trying to match your windows up,
Or
What up, though?
maybe Trajan Langdon has had some secondary conversations with the Bucks, and there's nobody on this team the Bucks want. So then he can get big and bad and say, well, there's nothing that we're gonna do.
Goodness.
Maybe that's what happened.
There's still
Could
so
be.
much out there for the Detroit Pistons. I'm just thinking about all the possibilities. You think about this, Rob, for the last 4 years, last 3.5 years of this, it's literally, last 4 years, it's literally been about just the draft. Who are they going to pick? We went through so many prospects. We had draft experts on. We went and got Rashad Phillips. Shout out to Rashad Phillips, too, man, with all the work that he does, especially during this time. And this year, it's so much different because we're not talking about a team who has to draft for their now. We're talking about a team who has to literally bolster their opportunity to be one of the top 4 teams in the Eastern Conference. And it feels like we got there, at least from 2 years ago to now. It feels like night and day overnight. 14 to 44, 14 to the playoffs. And now we're talking about a squad that has opportunity to shake things up in the East that got hit hard with dysfunction. The Pistons, to me, are one of those teams that look, honestly, really, really good. Even the Cavs. It's like, well, what happened to them? Well, they just don't meet expectation in the playoffs. And just as much as we talk about who Beasley is or is not in the playoffs, that's going to matter to me with the Cavs as well. So this East, to me, is one that the Pistons can take advantage of. Trajan, though, I think we do need to probably take a step back and value maybe as much as he does this team. We need to value it or at least see what he's trying to value because he does believe in these guys. One more tidbit, he does say that Isaiah Stewart and Jaden Ivey should be ready. He said will be ready for camp. So won't have to wait too much longer to see what this team is going to be about. So Summer League, July 10th through the 20th. Going to definitely have some boots on the ground to be able to check out some of these young players. So is that Woodward Pistons? That might be Woodward Sports. So Wake Up Woodward today.
Hey, yeah. That was a great one as always.
Hey, thank you as always for your time, man. We enjoyed this so much.
Appreciate you,
bro. But to be able to come on here and talk sports, talk Detroit sports, and still be able to have Rod here, even though you're doing great things in Atlanta, it's awesome, bro. Thank you.
You're right. We got to work
Rod.
harder on getting this man to answer questions. We got to do that, though, man.
He answers them eventually. It's just quicker.
I know. Well, man, I don't know if
I'm
we need to.
conflicted. We haven't been here in so long. Rod, this was so easy when everything was trash. You could just say, like, you know what? Hey, I want any one of these 20 players here.
No,
I don't
dude.
want none of our guys.
Bro, we need to learn how to waterboard. That's the only way
my
we're going to get
God.
this man to answer questions.
We're going to have to do some skits. Do it
He'll
right
be
in
all
that
right.
chair.
We'll fix him.
No.
He'll be all right.
We got to see how the United States treats terrorists. That's what we got to do with Kool-Aid over
He
here.
just equated me to Benedict Johnson and Tyrese Halliburton. Goodness. Shout out to T-Fox.
All right.
But thank you, Rod. Thank you as always for your time. You guys smash that like button for the legend. And JB Smooth, what friends we got to say what up, though, too, before we get to wrapping up?
We probably got to triple up on everything. So Lady James, Loom, Feldman, and Jars.
Lady James. Guys, let's be honest with like simple stuff like gimmies on the golf course. We like uncomplicated. Like the Detroit Pistons being a top 4 team in the East next year. Like Lady James, haircuts for men, walking.